So welcome back, and before we dive into rule 4, that was rule number 3, which was to pay down all your debts first. Now we're going to go into save money second. But before we do that, I just had this thought. Some of you may be still thinking in the back of your head, well, wait a second. Shouldn't I keep my mortgage? Shouldn't I keep that because of the tax write-offs? That's the one great tax advantage we still have. And I just want to challenge that assumption for you. That may or may not be the right strategy, but that's like me saying to you, hey, give me $1 and I'll give you 28 cents back. Does that make sense? Not necessarily. Not when you look at your overall wealth strategy. So again, everyone's different. I advise you to consult a professional, sit down with somebody and run the actual numbers. Don't ask for their opinion. Ask for the numbers. Okay, so let's dive into rule 4. This is a really quick one. Once you've paid off your debt, which is again, the whole purpose of this course is to get you to make this change now. Number 4 is to save money second. Now what's going to happen is we're going to use all that available cash that you were using to pay down your debts, and you're going to start saving 6 months of cash reserves. Keep in mind, since you've paid off all of your bills, you don't need as much as you did before, and you're going to find that the amount that you need to live on is drastically cut. So saving 6 months of reserves should actually happen very quickly. Depending on how much debt you have and how much disposable cash you have, it may take you a little time to pay off all your debts. It may take you a little longer. All right. Now, let's talk quickly about rule number 5. Once you get to this, you're going to start investing for financial freedom. And since most people are going to take a few years to pay off all their debts and a few months to save up their 6 months of living expenses, this course is only going to focus on getting you out of debt. But once you are debt-free, reconnect with us. We'll help you master the financial game at each of the next levels. And trust me, it happens faster and faster and faster. So those are the 5 skills or strategies that are needed to get 100% debt-free. And again, these are only 10% of the equation, but many people say that just knowing what to do helps them. So now you know what to do, and we're going to talk very briefly about the mindset and environments because you're going to get a lot of this in other pieces of the courses. But from the mindset standpoint, I'm going to make it really simple. Number 1, and this is one of the most important things you can do. I do this. I actually purchase the brain retraining software for my clients that are in our higher level programs, and I require them to use this. So every day, retrain your brain. A lot of your behavior is because of the subconscious programming. And I know this is true because I'm one of the people that John and I have partnered. And with our clients, because we track their financials every single month, they have to turn their financials in. Because we track that and I require them to listen to the brain retraining software, what's happened to our clients is that emotional up and down that they feel, that scarcity, that fear, that uncertainty, it starts to level off. You start to think more clearly. The old brain isn't running the show anymore. So put your headphones on. Listen to it every single day. I listen to mine at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And what happens is you're rewiring the subconscious mind. It is by far the number 1 proven way to retrain your brain. All right, so listen to the daily brain retraining software. Winning the game of money is fantastic. Winning the game of fear is awesome. Winning the game of business, I've got all of them, okay? And I'm a friend of John's, but I'm also one of the guys that went into the MRI station, had my brain scanned, and they could show that this stuff is working. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, visualizations. Start envisioning this ultimate life, this free life that we've been talking about. Fall in love with the idea of having 0 debt, of having your car, your house paid for, of having no credit cards at all or paying them off the moment you get any kind of balance on there. So visualize that, emotionalize that, make that a part of your daily routine, and join us in a truly debt-free society. Imagine what's going to happen to the world when people aren't spending their whole lives paying off the stuff they bought. Number 3, affirmations. Affirmations are a great way to just repattern your brain really quickly. And one of the simple things that I do is I've got little note cards, the little tiny cards. I keep them at my desk and I flip through them. I've got about 20 cards that have positive affirmations. I flip through them every day. It takes me less than 60 seconds. Right? What am I doing? I'm imprinting the subconscious mind. You can do that right now. I can even picture them. I've got things like prosperity, abundance, freedom, giving, connection. I've got all these things on these cards and I just read those every single day. They're in my subconscious. That's way better than the media and the TV and the junk that's being programmed in there. All right. Number 4, goal setting. You've got to have goals. You've got to have a date by which you're going to be financially free. You've got to own that date. You've got to make that your number one priority. Your whole life will change. And number 5, and this is up to your personal preference, but meditation. Meditation is something that I've used, John's used, and what it does, the best metaphor I heard, is we're really busy, right? You got a lot of things in your mind, you got a lot of distractions, but have you ever seen those snow globes? You know the snow globes that when you shake them, the little white stuff floats around and they've got something in the middle, maybe it's a little Santa Claus or maybe it's a little village or something like that. Well, we're so busy every day shaking up our lives and shaking up our minds that we've got all this white noise going on. What meditation does is it allows you to hold the globe still so that those little white things can float to the bottom and you can clearly see what's in the middle. So I'd encourage you to use your software, do your visualizations, your affirmations, your goal setting, your meditation. Just start with one. I think the brain retraining software is the easiest one because you literally put them on and start visualizing, right? But over time, use all of them. You'll find that it accelerates your success. Now, there's many other tools for mindset. I just want to give you a couple of them here. John and the team at NeuroGym are some of the best in the world. It's who we use for all of our clients, and I highly suggest you do the same thing. Now, this next piece is your environments, and this is really important. I'm not going to go into detail on this. You can search online. I've got plenty of courses for free. I've got 9 videos on the 9 environments that explain each one of these. But when I heard this concept, it helped me realize why so many people who want to change their life continue to struggle. People who want to change their life end up going back to old patterns and behaviors. Now, you'll notice in the middle it says YOU. That's the part of you that's always been here. That's your soul. That's your being. It's not your mind and it's not your body. As a matter of fact, the memetics, which is the next circle, that's your mind. That's your programming. That's your beliefs. So all the stuff that John's been teaching you and you're learning at the NeuroGym about reprogramming your mind, your subconscious, that's in the memetics. That's the software that's controlling the rest of your world. That's the inner game, right? That's about 40% of your success. Some people would say higher. The outer environments are the key. Because if you change the inner game, but you don't change the outer game, guess what? The outer world is going to pull you back into your old behaviors. You know, I was talking with a friend of mine here, Ron, and he said that he went through some financial challenges, but he found a way out. But you know what he said? He said, the moment I wiped out my debt, I got all these credit card offers. It was like an alcoholic getting pulled back into a bar. He said they were constantly triggering me and bringing me back. Those are external environments. And guess what? You can't cut yourself off from the rest of the world and still be a normal operating human. You're going to see advertisements. You're going to see trips to Tahiti. You're going to see flashy, shiny cars. You're going to see incredible marketers and advertisers that are trying to program you to buy their products and services. I'm going to encourage you to start to redesign your environments so your environments become stronger than your willpower. Most people's willpower to get financially free is just not strong enough, right? Until your mindset is strong enough, you've got to redesign your environments. If you have relationships, this is an environment. If you have relationships that are friends that cause you to spend when you don't want to, that's a limiting environment. If your health is suffering, right? If you're not in good physical shape, you're not going to think as clearly. You're not going to have the energy. So get your health in shape. That's one of the best ways to start your debt recovery, right? Change your network environment, the clubs and groups and associations you belong to. I belong to networks that are positive and inspiring. You should do the same thing. Make sure that the networks are pulling you into a better financial future instead of holding you back. Of course, the whole financial environment is one we've been talking about, right? Make sure that you're building a wealth team. John's on your team. I'm on your team. Surround yourself with people who are there to help you win. They care about you. They want you to succeed because they know that if you succeed, it's going to make all of us better, right? Your physical environment, that's your home, your office, your possessions. I can't tell you how many times people that I've helped get debt-free have said that the most important thing they did was to uncouple or attach themselves from physical things. You see, if you're still attached to your physical things, they own you. If you have to have that new outfit, if you have to have that new car, if you have to have the latest, greatest, whatever, the physical things are owning you. And I want to encourage you to recognize that you are not your things. You are not your mind. You have a mind and you have things, but you are not those things. Here's another environment. Nature. Nature gives you energy. It gives you life. We can't exist without it. Invest more time in nature and less time in front of a TV. Invest more time in nature and less time in a shopping mall. You're going to find that you have more energy. Your health is going to get better, right? You're also going to find that maybe you get a little more spiritually connected. One of the things that I've noticed of people who've transformed their lives, and every great leader that I know and work with has a strong spiritual understanding of who they are and what's important to them. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, right? There's 17 major religions out there. And if that supports you, that's fantastic. But every one of them has one core thing. They have a belief in some kind of higher power, whether they call it God or Allah or energy or Yahweh, but they've got a belief in something that's greater than them. And no matter where you are in your belief spectrum, I encourage you to just be open to the idea that you could live a better, higher quality of life by believing in something that's greater than you, that's going to help you live this great life. And the final one is your self-environment. I encourage you to continually invest in yourself. If you listen to the videos that are online from Will Smith or Richard Branson or Oprah or Elon Musk or any of these people, there's one thing that every one of them has in common, even Bill Gates. You know what that one thing is? They're constantly learning. They're constantly reprogramming their mind with information that helps them become more of who they are. And that's something that you have in your power. You have that in your control. So I share this with you because when I first heard this conversation around the 9 environments, I realized that in order for my life to change, my environments had to change. And guess what? It's easier than you think, because when you start changing 1, you're going to have more energy to start changing 2. And 3 and 4. And you may just wake up in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years or even less. I've had people completely redesign their life in 90 days or less. Once you start doing that, you're going to realize you become a new you and life gets easier. So there's plenty of information out there. I encourage you to dive deeper into the 9 environments. I'm happy to give you the videos for free on that. But this is the kind of information that will transform your life, and it'll help you get out of debt freer and create better wealth. Okay? So, again, if you change your inner game, your mindset and your memetics, but not your outer game, the environments are going to pull you back into old behaviors. You've got to change your inner and your outer environments to win. Every one of them is connected, and eliminating debt means you're going to spend less time with certain people, more times with other, and less time doing low-dollar producing activities like shopping and watching TV, and more time doing high-dollar producing activities like building wealth, paying down debt, earning more. Okay? My main point is this. Environments are stronger than willpower, so don't rely on your willpower alone to get you out of debt and keep you there. Stay connected to a community of winners and leverage these environments to keep you on track. So now we're going to end up transitioning into what we call the action steps. I've given you a lot of information. Hopefully you're starting to have some shifts, maybe a little excitement. Now we're going to get into the work phase. So I encourage you to take a 60-second break, maybe do some push-ups, walk around for a moment, and we're going to dive down into the action steps next. All right, welcome back. Did you get a good little break? I hope you did. I hope you recharged your body and your mind a little bit. I know there's a lot coming in, but now let's get you debt-free. Let's actually start your process so you can see real change in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Reminder, goal number 1 of this course is to exit repair and recovery by paying off all your debts first as fast as you can. So let's talk about these steps in this next chunk. Number 1, you're going to create a compelling future. This is really fun, it's exciting, and it gives you a vision of where you're headed. Number 2, we're going to help you know your numbers. Number 3, you're going to start to eliminate and simplify by reducing expenses. Number 4, you're going to start to increase your income. Now, most of what we're going to do is 1, 2, and 3. Increasing your income, again, is another course, but I'll give you a couple of ideas on how to do that. Number 5, start operating strictly on cash. And number 6, retrain your brain. We've been talking about that. So this is the step-by-step of how we exit repair and recovery and get to the next stage called foundation. All right, let's talk about creating a compelling future. I've been doing this with people for many years, and one of the things that's important is having a reason why you want to get out of debt, a reason that is an inspiring future. So even if you can't see it now, we can start to create it in our mind and make it a reality. So there's a worksheet here called your Ultimate Financial Freedom Lifestyle List. It's in your workbook. And the question you want to ask yourself, and I'll ask you right now, just start dreaming. What will you do with your time when you're completely debt-free and financially independent? Maybe you'll have the time to write a book. Maybe you've always had a dream to start a nonprofit to make a difference in somebody else's life. Maybe you want to donate time to a school. Or maybe you had a dream to build an eco-friendly home. Or maybe you have dreams to travel to exotic locations, right? I strongly encourage you right now to invest the next 60 seconds to 2 minutes and just write these things down. Give yourself permission to dream and imagine for a moment that you have zero debt. You don't have a car payment. You don't have any credit card debt. You don't have a home loan. You're absolutely free. You have the minimal expenses, and you figured out how to actually do that with either active or passive income. Where would you go? What would you do? Would you backpack the Himalayas? What would you do? It's really important. So the first step is to create a compelling future, and I want you to keep this by your desk. I want you to read this every day. This is part of your brain retraining, and I want you to fall in love with the idea of having a truly free and independent life. What will your life look like then? Write it down. There's something magical that happens when you think it, feel it, and you write it. So go ahead and do that right now, and then let's go to step B. All right, here we go. Let's do step B. It's called knowing your numbers. And we're going to get down to brass tacks here because we're going to assess your current realities. So number one, we need to figure out what are all your debts and liabilities. So we've got a debts and liabilities spreadsheet. You can simply fill that in if you'd like. We also are providing you with a monthly cash flow worksheet. This is simply where you list out all your income and expenses, right? So this is where you list out your home or your car. Maybe you have child care, maybe you have some medical expenses, whatever it is, list everything out. Now, here's the thing I'll tell you about. Most people don't do this part completely. They don't do it properly. And I would encourage you to look at the last 90 days of your income and expenses, either using online banking or using an online service like Mint.com. Mint.com is something that we have a lot of our U.S. clients use. There's other services around the world, but Mint.com syncs with all of your bank accounts. It syncs with your investment accounts. They can't do any transactions for you. It simply pulls the data in a nice, easy way for you to start to see your spending habits. And it's awesome because it gives you an overall view, but it also gives you the details of where your money's going. The first step is you got to know your numbers. So this may take you a little bit of time. If you're not sure how to do this, ask for help from somebody. There's people inside of the community here, but there's also friends who are really good at managing their money, and they can sit down and help you do this. I know this wasn't one of the things I enjoyed doing, but I can tell you what doing it does. What it does is it eliminates the doubt, the fear, and the anxiety of not knowing where you really are. And a lot of people play the ostrich game of wealth. They stick their head in the sand and their you-know-what in the air. The challenge with that is if you've got your head in the sand and your you-know-what in the air, you're pretty darn vulnerable. That's not the way to create wealth. You've got to pull your head out of the sand, and yes, it may be uncomfortable at first, but you got to get your numbers down. So I encourage you to get your numbers down as quickly as you can so you can see where you currently are and then where we're going to take you. Okay, so now that you've figured out those, we're going to move to the next phase. The next phase is for you to calculate your debt payoff date and the amount of interest you're going to pay. There's a great couple of resources. Number one, you can just Google debt-free calculator, and that'll show you some online softwares. For example, the one that I've posted here, and there's some in your workbook, is money.cnn.com/calculator/pf/debt-free. Now, I know that's a lot, but if you just Google debt-free calculators money CNN, this is probably the one that'll show up. And I put some examples in here. You simply type in your numbers, and it'll show you and calculate, depending on how many debts you have and the interest rate, it'll show you the date by when you can be done depending on how much you can pay down every month. It's amazing how cool this software is. And if you end up paying a little more, you'll see your date will get here faster. Now, some of you will be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait 10 years. Well, I'll tell you what, 10 years is better than 15 and it's better than 20. And you can accelerate this by paying more down or by cutting expenses faster, which is what we're going to talk about. But that's one resource that you can do. It's online. You don't have to sync your accounts with that. You just publish it in. You don't even have to put your email in there. It's totally free. Okay? Now, there's some other services like readyforzero.com. This is an online service that will actually sync with your accounts. It'll calculate automatically how much debt you have and how long it's going to take you to pay it off. And the cool thing is, it'll remind you by emails of your goals and your progress. Okay? Now, some people don't like their information to be out there, but I can tell you this. If you're in debt because of credit card and student loans and home and car, your information's already out there. At least you'll have access to it, not just these other companies like the credit companies. So Ready for Zero is another one that you may check out. Again, seek advisement on this, read the fine print, do your own due diligence. I'm not an affiliate for these programs. I don't make any money. I'm not a spokesperson for them. They're just ones that we've recommended to some of our clients and they found them useful. But it's really important once you know your numbers, the monthly expenses, it's really important to calculate your debt payoff date because that, my friends, is going to give you a real look at what it's going to take. Now you have the information that you need to start moving yourself into the next phase, which is number C, eliminate and simplify by reducing your expenses. Now, some of you are going to automatically go, I can't afford to cut anything else. That's not true. Everyone I know can find a way to cut expenses, and I know this is true because I've done this with over 10,000 people, right? And the concept I'm about to share with you is one that we do that we call it our 24-hour wealth challenge. And in 24 hours, I want you to find a way to cut your expenses by $100 a month. It's quote-unquote found money. And this is amazing because when you do this and you find a way to apply $100 a month more to paying down your debt, that $100,000, if you applied it to a 30-year fixed mortgage at 9%, if it was a $100,000 mortgage, that would save you $75,394 in interest. Now think about that. Could you find $100 a month, either create the income or cut your expenses to make up $75,000 in interest? That's a great return on investment, okay? So we're actually going to give you a cheat sheet of 101 easy ways to save cheat sheet. It's got all these great ideas on ways to trim the expenses. And I've yet to come across someone who couldn't find a way to cut their expenses, whether they called their cell phone carrier and said, hey, I'm in a lot of financial trouble. How can we reduce my bill because I can't pay you? Or somebody who calls up the cable company and says, you know what? I don't need all these premium channels. I don't need more TV. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of people that have cut cable TV altogether. If they have to watch something, they're streaming it online for free. I know people who've even cut their internet bills at home and said, you know what? If I got to be on the internet, I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to go to Starbucks where I can get free internet. You can find a way. Listen, it may not be convenient, but it is important for you to create wealth to reduce your expenses. So I challenge you right now, go ahead and you're going to see on these sheets how much money you can cut is how much more money you can save. And for many of you, the first step is to go from a negative cash flow situation to break even. And then from break even to $100 a month positive, $200, $500, $1,000, $10,000. I was just reading some clients' results the other day. I have a client who was negative $100,000 in debt, had a negative cash flow of $2,500 every month. And he went through the same process I'm sharing with you. And he said, I can't do this, that. And I go, you absolutely can do this. You are going to do this. And guess what? A year later, 1 year later, he got inspired and motivated. He went from negative $100,000 in debt to over $40,000 positive net worth. He came up with all new ideas in his business of ways to create cash because he was inspired by living a debt-free life. And he told me later on, he goes, I never believed I could do it, but I believe that you believe I could do it, and that changed everything. So start right now. Even if you don't believe you can do it, start now and prove to me and you that you can start reducing your expenses right now. I promise you, you can find a way to reduce and eliminate expenses. Let me give you some ideas of other ways. Number one, if you have a mortgage or auto or credit or student loans, consider refinancing them or consolidating these loans. Any one of these can make a big dent in that $100 a month of found money. I promise you that, right? So that's one strategy. Another one, if you have insurance policies, go back and review your insurance policies. This is something that we do every year, and look for a couple of things. A lot of times insurance policies will add in things that you don't need. For example, you can check and remove credit life insurances on car loans and mortgage loans, right? If you have life insurance, a lot of times what they'll do is on your car loan and your mortgage loan, the bank will put that into your payment because they want to be the beneficiary if you die. Guess what? That makes them the beneficiary, not your family. I'd rather pay a life insurance company for my family to win, not the bank. And what they likely do is they fold that insurance into the financing. So now you're not only paying for the policy, you're paying the interest on top of the policy, okay? So consider looking at a term life policy to pay off the car, pay off the house, and by the way, do that before you cancel the loans above, right? So if they're smuggled into your car loans and your mortgage loans, make sure that you have a new policy in place that'll benefit your family before you take those out. But oftentimes that'll save people $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $100 a month, and they didn't even realize it was smuggled into the policies that they have. All right. Another one, check out your auto insurance policy. Ask if a higher deductible will reduce your monthly payment significantly. In other words, instead of paying $200 a month, if you were to pay $200 a month, if you were to have a deductible of $200, if you get in a car accident, you got to pay $200 down and they pay the rest. What happens is you can pay $500. You can have a $500 deductible or a $1,000 deductible. And then if you get in an accident, you got to pay a little bit more money. But most people, according to the stats, most people don't get in an accident every year. Okay? So you're paying for something you're not likely going to need. And if you do get in an accident, think about this. Are you really going to turn it in for $200? Right? If you total your car, yeah, or if you have $5,000, sure. But if the damage is a couple $100, you're not going to claim it anyways because they'll take that back out of your policy. Again, look for redundant charges like medical and health coverages. A lot of times you're being covered in multiple places with multiple policies. Another area is looking at rental car coverages that are built into your auto insurance policy, right? Number one, most insurance companies only pay about $10 a day if you do in fact need to use it. And I don't know about you, but paying for something every month guaranteed for the chance that I might need a rental car if I get in a wreck and they're going to give me $10 a day, that's not worth it because how long am I going to have that? So you're paying for things that oftentimes you don't need. Again, use common logic, ask advisors, but these are hidden costs that you're paying for that you may not be aware of. Medical insurances. Number one, get healthy, okay? Quit thinking like somebody who's poor that paying a small copay is a good deal. The goal is not to have a small copay. The goal is to actually be healthy so you don't need to go to the doctor all the time. All right, number two, consider increasing your deductible. Right? If you increase your deductible, you're not going to pay as much every month for medical insurances. For a lot of people with the new healthcare policies, they're paying out the nose for medical insurances, and you can find ways to reduce that. Another one is to reduce extended warranties, right? Oftentimes, these extended warranties are just ways for these companies to add on more expense to you, and you're paying for the warranty plus the interest. So check your car and see if you have these extended warranties. Check your home. Don't take them on appliances, washers, dryers, TVs, microwave, and electronics. Do you think that these people have run the numbers to figure out whether or not they're going to make or lose money on warranties? Yeah, that's free money to their bottom line, which means it's money out of your pocket, okay? All right, so that's money out of your pocket, and those are a couple of ideas to eliminate and simplify your life by reducing your expenses. Let's switch gears and let's talk briefly about increasing your income. Now, if you're an employee, here's some options. Number one, ask for a promotion. Number two, ask for a raise. By the way, the difference between a promotion and a promotion means you're taking on more responsibility. A raise means you feel like you should be getting paid for what you're already doing. Now, if you're not doing that, if you're not creating more value for the company, Maybe do that, then ask for a raise or promotion. Number 3, ask for additional expenses to be covered by the company. You'd be surprised that sometimes companies would rather pay for your phone bill or your car bill than give you more money because they can write off that as expenses, and oftentimes companies need to do that. But again, not every employee is in a position where that makes sense, but that's a possible option. All right? And by the way, then you're not paying taxes on income. It's actually just taking away one of your expenses like a phone or a car. Another idea is to get a new higher paying job. Train yourself, get educated, get more skills, and then get a new higher paying job. You should be upgrading your skills every year so that you're more valuable to a company. Here's some other ideas of ways to increase your income. Sell your stuff or sell someone else's stuff on Craigslist or eBay or a garage sale, and take that money and don't go shopping. Take that money and immediately pay down some debt. You would be surprised at how much money you have sitting around your house, and other people do too. Another idea, start a home-based business, whether it's in direct sales or multi-level or online, whatever it is, there are ways to create monies. And nowadays, in this world, you can start up a business online immediately. Now, keep in mind, starting a business is not always the easiest path for most people. I've done it, John's done it, we've been successful at it, but I can tell you, for a lot of people, there's a lot of learning that they have to do, but it can be a great road to financial freedom for some reason. I do not encourage you to leave your stable, secure job, by the way, if you've never started in a business. I encourage you to start small and do something like direct sales or network marketing or online marketing so that you build up an additional income before you try to replace your other income. Learn the skills first before you just jump to another ship, okay? Now, for entrepreneurs, and I know that we meaning John and myself, attract a lot of entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. I started my first business when I was in college. And one of the challenges entrepreneurs have, and the reason a lot of them end up in debt, is they have financial ups and downs. They have what we call an oscillating income stream. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So the number one thing you need to figure out if you're an entrepreneur is how to get consistent, recurring revenue streams so that you can begin to pay yourself a salary. I don't care if it's $5,000 a month or $75 or $10 or whatever it is. When you pay yourself a salary from the business and you treat yourself like an employee, number one, you value your time differently, but number two, you can stabilize your personal life while you grow your business. It's a slight psychological shift, but every time I've seen entrepreneurs do it, it stabilizes their life, and it forces you to treat you like an employee and live within those guidelines. So that's a suggestion. I recommend that you do that as an entrepreneur, and it'll help you overall. All right, let's go to number E. Operate strictly on cash. Until you've developed the proper cash flow management skills and you're healthy, you've got to get off the credit card addictions. You've got to get off the idea that you can borrow money from a bank or borrow money from a family. That is disease thinking. In other words, it's not at ease, it's dis-ease. Quit it now and start operating off of cash. Use a debit card or use actual cash. What it does is it forces you to think about your balance every time that you spend money on gas or food, or you think about going out and you're like, wow, this makes an immediate impact. You see, credit cards are like poker chips. They disassociate you from what you're doing. When you go down and sit and play poker, the reason they give you chips is you're not spending real money. You're using these chips. Credit cards are the same way. And because they don't make you pay for 30 days, you forget about what you've bought 2 or 3 days after you've bought it. So I recommend for at least 1 year or more, you move to cash. And for some of you, that's going to be tough, but you can do it. Put your credit cards in water and freeze them. Literally put them in the freezer. So if you get in a life or death situation, you've got to unthaw those things in order to get to them. That'll change your spending, I promise you this. And finally, to wrap up here, retrain your brain. The best thing you can do starting today, and you've already got access to the software, is start daily brain retraining. It's one of the fastest ways to eliminate stress, anxiety, and the emotional ups and downs of debt. I'll say this again, I've said it before, the mind that got you here is not the mind that's going to get you free. So stay on task. Listen to the brain retraining softwares daily. And remember, It works if you work it. Just plug it in and use the brain training software. Once you've done goal number 1, you've paid off all your debts, then and only then can we start to focus all your resources on building a solid financial foundation that'll last you a lifetime. But goal number 1, using the strategies I've designed and the worksheets we've given, will be the thing that sets you free. That, my friends, is a promise, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. So let me give you 3 quick tips for goal number 2 once you get here, is to, number 1, save 6 months of living expenses at your new lower lifestyle. The goal is not to ramp up your lifestyle yet. You will, but not yet. Save 6 months first. Number 2, get the necessary insurances in place to cover catastrophic events. Okay? Those things can happen. So get the right policies in place to protect you. Number 3, funnel all disposable income into investments with your wealth team and your advisors. Again, I'm going to say this. Do not raise your lifestyle expenses until you're financially free. Again, do not raise your lifestyle expenses until you're financially free. That is the way to create long-term sustainable wealth. Change the mindset, change the skill set, change the environments. You will, my friends, become free for life, and you'll invest the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years loving life instead of regretting your decisions you've made. So, in closing, there are hundreds of thousands of people who've taken control of their financial lives, and every single one of them is happier and healthier and wealthier as a result. The key is to get started today with step number 1. You can do this, my friends. We believe in you. I want you to win this game, and I want you to live a happier, healthier, wealthier life. This is Jim Bunch, founder of The Ultimate Game of Life, saying until we connect again, have fun, and remember, it's your choice to create your ultimate life.